Thanks very much, Catherine. Councillors, we've concluded the business tabled on the agenda. I'm seeking to move an urgency motion, which I'll ask the minute takers to display on the screen. It's in relation to council appointing alternate delegates to the regional planning panel. I discovered when reading the code of conduct for appointees to the regional planning panel, of which I am one and Councillor Scott is another, that if you have ever voted previously on anything pertaining to a matter that is before the panel, then you are potentially conflicted. And in relation to the Tempe Bunnings matter, as councillors who've returned from the last term will be aware, we all voted on motions towards the end of the term in regards to the traffic studies and advocacy for residents. And so as such, I will need to recuse myself from that matter, which is coming to the panel very soon. I sought advice from the Director of Planning and from the Manager of Governance in regards to that. And on their advice, I am bringing forward a recommendation that council, that we delegate to council officers to appoint 2 independent planning experts as alternates for the Sydney Regional Planning Panel. So I will move that be dealt with urgently. The reason for the urgency is that the panel is due to meet within the next fortnight on that matter. I'll just seek advice from the Manager of Governance about whether, having ruled that it is urgent myself, I still need to put a motion to deal with it urgently.
Yes, that's correct, Mayor Byrne.
Thanks very much. So I'll move that way. Is there a seconder for the motion that this be considered urgently? Councillor Lockie will second that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried unanimously. Is there anybody against that? No? Okay, the matter will now be considered. I don't really need to speak to it in substance because I've outlined the reason for it in explaining why it should be considered urgently. So I will move that. Sorry, Councillor De Cruz, if I can ask you to desist from interjecting. I will move that council officers appoint 2 alternate external members to the Sydney Eastern City Planning Panel. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Second that, Mayor Byrne.
Thanks very much, Councillor Scott. Do you wish to speak to it?
No, thank you. I believe it's self-explanatory and we have all the information we need. We can move on.
Thank you. Is there any councillor who wishes to speak against the motion?
Sorry, I have a question.
I'll go to Councillor Griffiths first and then Councillor De Cruz.
So first to you as the mover of the motion, if you could maybe just elaborate on why you think it should be external rather than replacement alternative councillors.
Happy to address that in a right of reply. Councillor De Cruz.
Morgan, can I ask the officers whether or not it's allowed to have internal alternate councillor reps?
I'll put that question to the council officers.
I might put the question to the Director of Planning. It's my understanding that it is, but I might just put it to someone.
Thank you, General Manager, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Could I just absolutely clarify, because of a little bit shaky Zoom Wi-Fi here, that the question that I'm responding to is it okay to have external members of the Regional Planning Panel, externally appointed members of the Regional Planning Panel?
No, that wasn't the question, but if you could confirm that as well, that would be great. Councillor Griffiths was asking whether it's allowable for councillors to be appointed as the alternates.
Yes, it is allowable for councillors to be appointed the alternates, and it is also allowable for external members to be appointed to the Regional Planning Panel.
Thanks very much for that. Councillor De Cruz?
Yeah, I think we went through this before. I'm a little confused where we're going to get those external members. My understanding is we're nominating community reps to the council, and those community reps can actually be councillors. Can you respond to that, perhaps, Simone?
Put that question to the Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's quite correct, councillor. Council can choose, or we can appoint community reps to the regional planning panel. Those can be councillors and they can be external appointees.
Thank you for that. Is there anyone who
So
wishes
I've
to
got a
speak
further
against-
question.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got a further question.
Yep, please. proceed.
So with this motion before us, would council now run an EOI to come back with community members for us to appoint to the Eastern City Planning Panel?
Put that question to the director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We have already a pool, an existing pool of external members for the planning panel, and they haven't been released yet from their obligations, so we could select from that pool.
Thank you for that.
But, sorry, one further question.
Yes, Councillor De Cruz.
Isn't that appointment made by the council?
The motion is to delegate to council to officers the authority to make the appointment, Councillor De Cruz.
I see, okay.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the motion or to amend it?
Sorry, can I ask a question just very briefly? I just am not clear on why we would replace a councillor member with non-councillors when we've decided to have a councillor as a member. Maybe I've missed that part of the explanation.
Who are you posing the question to, Councillor Atkins?
Well, to you, I guess, as moving the motion.
Thanks very much. We've appointed Councillor Scott and myself as delegates to the regional planning panel. No other councillors nominated to be delegates. This is a very complicated, the immediate planning matter before us is the Tempe Bunnings matter, which everyone knows is a serious matter of great concern to residents in the Inner West. There's a very limited time frame between now and when the hearing will be held, and a very limited time for anyone to get across the details or to read the papers. And it was my view, having discovered that I would need to declare a conflict myself, that the council would be best served by appointing external planning experts as alternate delegates who would sit on this, one of whom would sit on this matter and potentially in the future may sit on other matters if Councillor Scott and myself are not available or required or have a conflict. Is there anyone who would like to amend or speak against the motion? Councillor Griffiths?
Yeah, so I would like to amend the motion just to add on to the end of it. Alternate external members to the Sydney Eastern City Planning Panel for the Tempe Bunnings matter. I would be very hesitant to have permanent alternate delegates, which are external, replacing councillors.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Councillor Griffiths. I won't incorporate that. There are no councillors who've nominated to say that they wish to be an appointee to the regional planning panel. It's not in my intention that the external alternates would sit regularly, but I don't agree with the amendment. So I won't incorporate that, but we can vote on it.
Yes, I'd like to take that to a vote.
Yeah. Is there a seconder for the Griffiths amendment?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Stamoulis. There's no further discussion on that. I'll put the Griffiths-Stamoulis amendment. I'll ask the minute takers to display it on the screen, which is to insert the words "for the Tempe Bunnings matter" into the primary motion. I'll put that. All those in favour, please raise your hands. In support, I have Councillors Griffiths, De Cruz, Atkins, Stamoulis, Shetty, Langford. That is all. All those against? Against, I have Councillors Drury, Scott, Stevens, Smith, Sardulius, D'Arienzo and Byrne. That has been defeated. We'll go back to the substantive motion. Is there anyone who wishes to further amend it? If not, I'll waive my right of reply and put the substantive
Mr. Mayor, could you
motion.
count that again, Mr. Mayor?
Councillor Stamlis is requesting that I recommit the vote on the amendment moved by Councillor Griffiths, seconded by Councillor Stamlis, which I'll now do. Could everyone who is in support of the Griffiths-Stamlis amendment please raise your hands and keep them raised? In support, I have Councillors Griffiths, De Cruz, Atkins, Stamlis, Lockie, Langford, and Shetty. That is 7. All those against, please raise your hands and keep them raised. Against, I have Councillors Drury, Scott, Stevens, Howard, Smith, D'Arienzo, Sardulius, and myself. That is 8. That has been defeated. I'll now put now that that's been clarified, I'll now put the primary motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. In support, I have councillors, maybe this is unanimous. Is there anybody against the primary motion? No, I'll declare that carried.
I'm against. Thank
Sorry.
you.
All right. Well, let me just count it properly then. Sorry about that. All those in favour of the primary motion, please raise your hands. In support, I have councillors Langford, Howard, Shetty, Smith, D'Arienzo, Sardulius, sorry, I'm having trouble scrolling down, and myself. All those against? Against, I have Councillor Griffiths. That has been carried. That concludes the business.
And Stamlis.
Would you like me to recommit it again? Councillor Stamlis?
That's good. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
So just for clarity, that motion has been carried with only councillors Griffiths and Stamlis against. Can I ask the minute takers to confirm that they've recorded that correctly?
Yes, I have, Mayor.
Thanks very much. That concludes the business on the agenda tonight. Thanks very much, councillors. Have a good evening. Thanks very much to all the officers as well. I declare the meeting closed.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
They're doing a
Have a good night.
Thank you.